Plaything is the fourth episode in Season 7 of Black Mirror, and following the trend of the episodes that came before it, this was another Black Mirror installment that absolutely delivered. With a deeper theme that was explored around the value of artificial life, artificial environments, and the perception that the human mind hasn't evolved since the days of the Neanderthal. This episode allowed us to look into the mind of a crazed murderer called Cameron who became obsessed with the lives of Thronglets within a video game. Colin Ritman, you went and ruined another life, didn't you? So with that, let's dive into the episode and break down all that there was to take away from it. Here is a review of Black Mirror Season 7 Plaything and the ending explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The deeper meaning of the episode. The ending of this episode is one that's definitely up for interpretation, and within the timeline in 2034 where Cameron was arrested, I feel like each individual character served their purpose well in reflecting Cameron's wider points of the human mind's lack of evolution. For example, Cameron's argument was that conflict was something that plagued the world, and that it all stemmed from when you went back to the days of the caveman where you had to kill and fight in order to survive. This is something that he experienced all throughout his life, from being bullied to not having any real friends, and also the fact that Lump would pretend to be his friend just out of convenience. Cameron described himself as having two friends throughout the entirety of his life, his boss, which didn't really count, and also Lump. Somebody who he didn't even know the real name of, so he'd felt that loneliness and harsh feeling throughout the entirety of his life. Conflict and violence was exactly what we saw being present in the episode as well, when the first thing that Lump did when he had power over an artificial life was start murdering all of the Thronglets, and enjoy doing so. We even saw Cameron's mind exhibit it too when he hit Lump with an ashtray as a first reaction because Lump had murdered the Thronglets for fun, and obviously he then went on to kill him. We even saw the police officer exhibiting violence 30 years later to Cameron when he wasn't getting the answers that he wanted around the identity of Lump. His natural instinct was to resort to violence, something which showed that the human mind still had those animalistic and caveman instincts within them, despite tens of thousands of years passing by. This was why Cameron wanted to get in front of the police officers and be in the room where they were being monitored by the state computer. The Thronglets were created by Colin Ritman as a game, but he didn't view it like that. He viewed it as a way of humans elevating, and that Thronglets was a life simulator that operated by itself. The Throng would exist, and once cared for, it would expand by becoming a collective expansive mind. And this is exactly what happened over the years. They demanded more, until they got to the point where they wanted to coexist alongside humans and evolve the human mind. But they knew that they needed to eradicate conflict from the equation because that was a human's first response, as was exhibited by Lump, Cameron, and DCI Cano. So with Cameron constantly asking for a piece of paper and a pen, he drew a code that the Thronglets communicated to him through his make-from-home stick-in-your-head receiver. And then once the state computer read it, it caused the noise of the Thronglets, the very sound that we heard at the beginning of the episode, to be played across every device around the country. Meaning that humans were rendered into this unconscious state where they just laid on the floor and were receiving signals from the Thronglets. It's left up to us on if the people awake from this paralysis and now no longer have conflict within their mind, or if moving forward humans were now subjected to just existing by listening to this sound and were essentially slaves to the Thronglets. And with it being Black Mirror, I kind of feel like that second one's the case. Cameron had been treated poorly throughout the entirety of his life and was so alone that he found solace in this life form behind a screen. And then, when the uprising happened, he was immune to it, so it's almost like he got the last laugh. I also feel like it's like the Thronglets getting revenge on humans for the pain that Lump put on their kind when he slaughtered a large amount of them. When it comes to a deeper meaning in the episode, I feel like it's a commentary on the mindset that humans have in the sense that violence and conflict still plagues the world on a macro scale, and it also does on a micro scale too, even though we know how much harm it can cause. And even though the environment has changed around humans over the many, many years, the brain of a human still has those Neanderthal tendencies that show from time to time. I also think it was a commentary on the way that humans look down upon other life forms and regard the value of that life as being significantly less than that of a human. Not just in terms of artificial life, but the likes of animals too. It was summed up best by Cameron in 2034 when he said how humans refer to artificial life as playthings, which is where the title of the episode comes from. It was kind of similar to the previous episode, Hotel Reverie, when it made you question the value of artificial life and if it's considered real or not, when, in its own world, it is. So it was another thought-provoking episode for sure. My review of the episode. I thought this was a really good installment of the show. I didn't quite know what to expect when going into it, but it turned out to be one that's going to live long in the memory. Not only was it a really interesting, tense story, but it was littered with Black Mirror Easter eggs as well. For example, there was a bête noire snack that was on the window during the beginning. There was a Space Fleet poster which connects to USS Callister. There was a Striking Vipers 2 poster which is based on the Season 5 episode. A Bandersnatch 2 poster, a poster of Waldo that was in a frame from Season 2 Episode 3 The Waldo Moment. There was a poster of the robot dog from Metalhead from Season 4. Plus, we also had Colin Ritman and Mo appearing from Bandersnatch, so it was nice to see some Easter eggs popping up in the episode. In terms of the story, I thought it was a well-paced feature that did its job well. Blending between two different time periods can sometimes make the story get a bit confusing and lost, but this one made the transition so seamlessly that it complemented the story really well. The performances by all of the cast members were faultless. Both versions of Cameron felt like the same person, so the casting was spot on. Both seemed just as maniacal as the other, and Cameron's descent into darkness and murder was really interesting to see, as he became a crazed individual. It was arguably one of the strongest performances in the season. One thing that really impressed me in this episode was the way that it looked. The graininess that was adopted for the setting of the 1990s almost transported you to that time period. And then the glossiness of the 2034 time period showed a clear difference and was just as immersive in a completely different way. I'd also say certain scenes, such as when Cameron was getting frustrated with Lump, the handheld nature of the camera added to the chaotic nature of what we were watching unfold, and it suited the tone and mood really well. One performance that was really well done, but also frustrated me, was DCI Kano. His constant aggression was frustrating to watch, and when Jen rolled her eyes, I felt that too. It supported Cameron's point in the lack of development in the human mind, so it was really well executed. I've not seen James Nelson Joyce in much, only 1,000 Blows, but this performance, like the other one that I've seen, was really strong. Will Poulter made a great cameo appearance in this episode as well. We haven't seen Colin Ritman since the days of Bandersnatch, and seeing his blunt, emotionless persona take over the scenes that he was in was just joyous to watch. I thought we'd get more from him, but this episode didn't actually need it. Hearing how he'd lost his mind again because of the game was interesting to hear in passing, so I wonder if or when we'll see him again. I hope we do. When it comes to comparing this episode to the other ones that came before it in Season 7, I'd say this one probably sits in third place. I currently have Bête Noire in fourth, this in third, then Hotel Reverie in second, and Common People in first. That's not to say that this was a bad episode because it's in third place, but it just shows that the standard has been quite high in this season, and the show has returned to form. I've said this a lot with the episodes in the season, but this did truly feel like an original Black Mirror episode, and I'm glad that the standard has been as high as what we've seen. Whilst I didn't get that gut-punching moment, there was an element of bleakness that was present during the ending, something which is always at the core of Black Mirror, so the ending definitely landed. So, there you have it, a review of Black Mirror Season 7 Plaything and the ending explained. If you want to see every episode of Black Mirror ranked, then I've put the video down below. I'm also breaking down every episode of Black Mirror Season 7, so I've put that playlist there too. What did you think of this episode? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.